All right, so today we're gonna talk about some godly keys of dating. So that's why it's important that when we, even in dating, we date somebody that will bring us closer to God, especially if you're a Christian, because it can be very difficult. So I'm gonna get in the word. So 2 Corinthians 6:14. Do not be unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship has righteousness with unrighteousness, and what partnership has light with darkness? It's not saying that they're a bad person, but you have to be careful. Saying there's some people that are out there for whatever reason. Some people are just, you have to ask them. Saying, why are you here? I remember the scripture said, when they asked, Satan's, they said, where has thou comest from? Matthew 15:14 says, leave them, they are blind guides. If the blind lead the blind, they both will fall in the ditch. Isaiah 9:16, for those who guide this people are leading astray, and those who are guided by them will be brought to confusion. 1 Corinthians 14:33, for God is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of saints. So I say, even in dating, saying, make sure that, saying you're with somebody that when you're sad, they will want to make you happy. That means that they are not a selfish person or anything like that. And I remember myself, dating before I tried to, oh, well, I can bring them to church or I can change them or anything like that. You can't change a person. Only God can change a person. And, sometimes, I seen somebody said yesterday about, can you love somebody too much, besides the fact of loving God? And I believe you can. Because sometimes, that allows people to stay in abusive relationships, or abusive marriages and things like that. But, saying you definitely got to be careful. Some people say, well, I'm just going to stay because, we have children and, they are not being physically abused, but they're being emotionally abused. And that's something now, if you're in a relationship and they're emotionally abusing you or anything like that, or they're hiding things or, so you have to be careful because it can be very difficult, saying it's going to be a strain in your relationship with God. If you're dating somebody and it's a strain in your relationship with God, they're bringing away from God, maybe you need to reevaluate that situation. And don't be afraid to pray this prayer, that God, show me who they are, if they're for me or if they're not, because if that's not God's will, then you definitely don't want that, because it can be very difficult for you. But you can ask yourself, and God can teach you, because like he said, he's not the author of confusion. You should be able to pray together. You should be able to worship together, and you should be able to talk about God and just have a genuine conversation, But that's the thing, so you can be careful with, the keys of dating and things like that, So, but definitely want to touch on that. And just be obedient. So obviously we're talking about, love in the month of February, with our church 40 days of love. So I just want to talk about that with those principles. Love y'all and God bless.